Hi guys, welcome to the new video of this Linux tutorial series. In this video, we're going to discuss command, similar command like we discussed in the last video. So in the last video, we discussed, if you remember, the du command and some very good examples and very good tricks that we can use in the real world, and that can makes you apart from other the developers and admin guys. So must watch this video. So there is a similar command in Linux, that is df. There is only single difference I can say. So there are a lot of difference, so let's discuss lot of difference first. So du is like basically disk usage, how much the space any file or folder is using on the hard disk. Or if you know, in the second or third video of mine I told you that hard disk is also known as disk and RAM is also known as memory. So how much file or folder in the current operating system is using the disk space, so that is du. Opposite to it, how much free, or we can say disk free. So the df command will tell us how much space is free, not how much space is used, but how much space is free. So du will tell how much space is like used, and df will tell how much space is free. And similar syntax of du and df. So like we have du options and something like that. So df options, and then we need, if we don't give any file system, or file system no means folder. So if you don't pass any folder here, it will show the disk free from all the folders and the files from across the operating system. But there are many more differences that we can see. So the main differences is in du we will get detailed disk use. I can say detailed disk use file wise also, as we see in du. In the last video, if you go through mine, so if you use some option in du, that is -a, so you will get the detailed use of disk across the file also. In df it's not like that. So df will give us a summary kind of format, basically not in the very detail. We can get in detail, but it's like mostly for the summary. So we can quickly check, instead of wasting our time, we can quickly check what are the, how much disk is free. One more difference is it will tell us the format type, that du don't tell us. So what is format type? So if you if you ever install the operating system, you across come to know that you want to format your hard disk, or you want to format your disk to install operating system. So like in Windows we have NTFS and many more. Like similarly, this is one of the format type. Now what is format type, how many type of format type, how they are differ from each other, very soon in the next 5 to 7 days, or like almost 10 days, the video on format type is gonna come. So you will understand very easily that what is the format types and how they are differ. But in Linux, if you come to know, we have normally ext3, ext4, these are the name of format type, or XFS, and many more are there, but these are the common ones basically. So you can think of like format type help us, or help operating system to decide how to arrange, just keep focus on this line, how to arrange files and folders in Linux. That is the main use of format type. Now how they are different, we're gonna see in very detailed video. So let's move to the console and see, if we write the df command, what it will show to us. See, df command is showing some headers on the top, like how much is used, how much is available, use percentage, how much are mounted on file system. That I told you, like file system is nothing but a folder name, that's it. So it's like that. Now you will say me like, I don't understand what those numbers are. So obviously they are in the blocks, how much blocks is free or how much blocks is used in the system. That's not easy for us to convert the blocks into the KB, MB, GB like that. So in du, like we have an option. Similarly in df we have the very first option, -h. Same option in du also we have human readable. So let me show this to you. So if I do df-h, now see, it's like very human readable format, like how many GBs are there. Size will tell us the total size. Use, how much GB is used, how much is available. You will see difference, like if you add 47 plus 3.5, it will like 50.5. Now why this difference is, when you understand the file system, you will automatically come to know percentage use. For every file system, like for every folder, we are getting this total size, use and available, and use percentage. Now what is this mounted on? So you need to understand one thing, that any hard disk we use in Windows or Linux, first we need to cut that hard disk to multiple portions. Now those portions are partitions. What are those partitions, how we can do, or how we can cut that hard disk to multiple partitions, how many type of partitions, like there are 3 type of partitions, that everything we're gonna discuss in that after the format type video. But now you can understand cutting the hard disk into multiple type, that part is known as partition. Now to use a partition, you need to format that partition. So as I already told you, in Windows we have NTFS, here we have ext3, ext4, like that. And after format, you need to mount that partition to use it. As a human, we can't directly interact with partition or can't interact directly with hard disk. So to use that hard disk or partition, we need to mount it somewhere on some folder. So let's say as a human, I created XYZ folder manually and I mounted this partition on this folder to use it. Now what happen is, whatever I will fill inside this or whatever I will create inside this folder XYZ as a human, everything will be stored in partition itself or hard disk itself at the end. But hard mount point or mounting on a folder, you can think of like a shortcut for us. So everything is going inside partition and hard disk only, but as a human we can't interact with the partition and hard disk. That's why we need to interact with this mount folder or mount point. So whatever the folder we are mounting that partition or hard disk, that folder is also known as mount point. So whatever we are filling or whatever we are creating inside this mount point or this folder, everything will creating in the partition and hard disk in the background. How this is happening, how we can mount a partition, how we can create a partition, everything will be discussed on that video in the upcoming days on the partitions. How many type of everything will be discussed in detail. But you can think of like it's shortcut. Whatever you are creating in this folder, everything will be inside this partition at the end. So now let's say if you want to see how which file system or which folder is like formatted with which type basically. So for that you need to use an option called -T. So here you can't see something like ext3, ext4 nowhere, no column with that name. So what you can do is df-T. See one box automatically come up, type. And as you all know, we can use multiple options together. So let's -H also together. So it will give us a human readable format. But if you see the type XFS, ext3, ext4 is not there, but TMFS, temporary file system, or these all are the type of file system. Basically, FS in the last means file system. Now, which partition? Here, these are the folders. File system means folders. Which folders are which partitions are formatted by what type? Now if you need to use this main partition of hard disk or this spaces, then I already told you we need to mount this on some point. So where they are mounted, see, it's mounted on this much folders. So if you want to write something to this on the top one, then we need to go to /folder and create the file or folder there. And maybe any file we need to create. So everything we will create inside this /folder. At the end it will install inside this, or as you all know, behind the scene the main layer is hard disk, so everything will be stored on hard disk. So to store something on hard disk, we need to create mount points or mount folders. So that's I already told you. Now discuss something more about more options. So second option I want to discuss is -T option. If you want to take only specific type of file system, then you can specify like this. So if I go like this, and you will see that many type of file system type are there, but I don't want TempFS and everything. So I want only to get me XFS things, and in a very human readable format with the file system type. One second, it's saying -T XFS like this, okay, and -H and T you can use. See, so see, only XFS we are getting now, not TempFS, nothing like that. And if I remove this and if I show like this, see, now only TempFS, no XFS, nothing. So this is one of the option to filter it with the format type. What is this format type? I don't confuse it now, just think it like format type is the way how we are managing a file and folders inside an operating system. And there are many type of file and folder, there are multiple ways to manage file and folders. So that's why we have multiple file systems, type of file system. Now how they are working in the behind the scene, actually, that we discuss in the upcoming videos. So already we discussed -H option, -T option, and -T option. Now there is very huge difference. There is one option with -H. it will show in a human readable format only, but in the power of 1000. And what this showing us is in the power of 1024. Okay, so somewhere you see this like MB is not equals to MIB. So what is those? Basically that we discuss when we are discussing the partition video. In that I will tell you the difference. No, like almost many people don't know this. So I will tell you there. But yeah, -h will show in the power of 1024. -h will show in the power of 1000. Now what is the difference between this is hyphen I am using capital H with the file system type. See, now if you see some difference, let me run both the commands together with -h, small and -h. Small and capital both. See, now you will see the 50 GB here. Now you will see 54 GB. 3.5 GB is used, 3.8 GB is used. So very huge difference. Now they are like very close to each other. Now what is that means is I will tell you the difference, but just keep remember this option. What is the power of 1000 and what is the power of 1024? Now the last option I want to show you is the -i option. -i option will show you the inode information. Now what is the inode? Same this concept gonna come in the partition video, but let me give you some context on this. So this is your hard disk, and you are dividing into multiple parts, and those parts are known as partition. So by default in the hard disk, some space around 2000, some around like this is the number, I don't remember exactly, but we will see it how we come to know how much the space is used by hard disk for this thing. So some around this space in the KB basically is used by hard disk in the very start. So what happened like this is like hard disk, and 3 blocks are there: partition 1, partition 2, partition 3. But this block is reserved in every hard disk for Inode table. And what is this Inode table? Simply to understand for this video, not in very detail, Inode table you can think of like your index page of copy. That's it. If you want to move to some copy page, then you will use index, that how at what page this work is doing, this work is done. So if your teacher want to see your lesson number 5, then teacher will see in index and will see the page number and move to the lesson number 5. Similarly, if you want to go to some partition, or where how much partition or how many partitions are created, how many, like what is the size of each and every partition, everything about this partition will be stored in this Inode table. And Inode table is like index table. So if you want to see df-i and I want to show in human readable format without time, or what with the format type. So see, it's giving me an inode here. Now what this block means and what is this, basically I use ifree, I use this. So how much inode partition is used, how much is free, how much, what is the percentage of use, everything, like as I told you, it's also like in partition or it's also like in part, but it's by default in the starting of any hard disk. In the starting of hard disk, some blocks or some part or some partition, I can say, because we know we are saying partition to part only. Parts of hard disk means partition. So by default, some part or some partition is automatically created at the start of hard disk, and that partition is will contain the information of inode table, we can say that, and that means the information about hard disk, how many partitions and what is the type of partition, multiple things. So this is also like a partition and part. So this is again like a space. So how much space is used, how much is available, what is the total space, everything will come to see here. But in the detail we're gonna see in the partition video. But if you understand the df use, that's the motto of this video basically. So du and df, we have almost similar command. One tell the usage on the disk by file and folder, one tell how much space is free, not the usage, how much space is free. And we discuss multiple options. If you like the video, subscribe the channel, and if you have any doubts, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can post your doubts in the comment box also.